Okay.
Oh, it's me. I'm starting. I forgot. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's Lucille and Lori from The Squeeze. We have a special guest, Allan Lewis from Undeniable Music. This show is The Show Must Go On. We did skip last time because we had a lot going on. We had already talked about COVID a little bit. And then a lot has happened since we skipped that show. And we thought, I think both Lucille and I did Blackout Tuesday, where the music industry blacked out Tuesday because people in music were saying, how can we talk on Zoom calls about moving forward with anything when this heaviness is coming down on us with racism, talking about anti-racism. And I actually thought, well, maybe we just extend it because 24 hours is not long enough for this white girl to sit and think and reflect and figure out how to move forward through this. Okay. And then I talked to Lucille. So awesome to have a partner in crime with this because we both talked and said, should we pause it? And then I'm like, we shouldn't be silent. We need to talk about what's going on, why this is hard for us. And I talked to my friend Allan and asked him to come on the show. And he said, yes. I was thrilled.
Absolutely.
So anyways, I think we don't, this isn't all structured. It's never all structured. That's not what we're about. This is our side hustle. The squeeze is all about how we are feeling the squeeze all across America. And that we really, really emphasize you've got to vote. If you don't vote already, sign up to vote. You need to know what the issues are. You need to know why we're in this position we're in, what you can do as an individual to make that change. And that's why we're here. We're really here to listen to stories. We have been accumulating lots of information about what we can do. And without further ado, I'll let Lucille say something and then we'll introduce you, Allan, to give us a story about what's happened to you.
Okay.
So there's not a lot that, I can say. We're here to provide resources today. I would have to say that I'm 62 years old, and for the first time in the last week, I have been ashamed to be white. And, I always thought, I'm not racist. And I got a few stories myself, anyway, I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to say, leave it right at that. So anyway.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll come out of this with some things you can, white people like us can do, because it's so upsetting. So.
Well, I appreciate your candor, of saying that you felt ashamed. But let me just say, that's not, you should not feel that at all. You don't know what you don't know. You don't experience what you don't experience. I can't tell you what it's like to be a woman. So, and I shouldn't be ashamed of that. It's just what it is. But the fact that you want to do better, we all want to do better. That's the point of this. So real quickly, I'll just share the story that I shared on Facebook that happened to me back in 1990. I was on the way to pick my girlfriend up from work. It was about 10:30 at night, and I was pulled over by a policeman. It ended up being 3 cars. Ultimately 6 cops. So, I just don't know what to do. Back then, I didn't even know to roll my window down and be ready for it. Well, one of the officers comes and taps on my driver's side window with the barrel of his pistol. I knew it wasn't going to be a good situation right up from the start. He asked me to get out of the car. And so I did, not knowing that I didn't necessarily have to, but then again, I really didn't have a choice the way it was set up. So I get out. He has me spread them and has my hands on the car, frisk me. I turn around. I see the other 5 cops behind him. and they're all holding their guns, either in their holsters or out. So I thought, I was like, okay, well, this is it. I don't have any control over the situation. It's up to them whether I live or die, and I don't know what their intent is. So, I'm terrified, but I'm just thinking that I guess this is how it's going to end. Honestly, I really did. I didn't think I was going to make it out of that situation. So, you can imagine the trauma of feeling that helplessness. After it was over, I got my license and all that, checked all my information, gave it back to me, just kind of casually handed it to me with a smirk on his face. He was enjoying the whole thing, and said I had a back tail light out on the left side. And it was true that I did, but this is a routine traffic stop.
With a pistol to the window and
yeah, and
guys,
crime.
Right, and the police are hopefully there to improve situations, to de-escalate them.
Right.
And I'm paying, like you guys are, his salary to protect me.
Right.
So who's protecting me from him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to give you that start. That's how Black people feel. We feel hunted, and we feel helpless when it comes to law enforcement and the injustices. It unfortunately has taken something this catastrophic over these last few weeks for us to have this conversation and this honest dialogue. I'm grateful for that. But, I think that's where we start, is this right here. And I don't know if you guys want to say anything else. I just wanted to kind of end this part of what I was going to say with this. I think as white people, if you want a start as to how to do something about this problem, I think all of us start with our prejudices. I've been talking to friends, not racism, not white supremacy. That's a given. It's a problem. But your prejudices are personal. When you're prejudiced and what you're prejudiced about. And you can wrap your hands around that. Racism for the average person is elusive, or it's just out there. White supremacy is too. I mean, it's a very real thing. Don't get me wrong, but it's a derivative of our prejudices. For example, cops, when they see Black people, a switch goes off in their minds as to how to conduct business from that point on. That's clearly what it is. So it's whatever's built inside of them makes them do what they're doing differently than they would with someone else, and handle the situation differently. I don't know if that makes sense at all. But
it definitely makes sense. It's interesting. I'll tell the story, Lori, I told you. Over 10 years ago, Allan, 13 years ago, my daughter was dating a young man who was half African American, and our town is very lily white. And apparently, and he, something had happened where the police had been called to say that, somebody they were looking for was where was at this, in this neighborhood with his girlfriend, his white girlfriend. And the police showed up. They wouldn't let my daughter's boyfriend get his ID. He was 16. Yeah. My daughter was horrified. Came home. It was a really traumatic experience.
Absolutely.
This kid is so smart. I mean, he was just the best kid ever. Yeah. I was so enraged and went to our police officer, the chief of police here in our town, and I said, what the heck, and he was good enough. I mean, they kept them for a long time. They said, you fit the description of this guy they were looking for. You fit this kid they were looking for. Yeah. You fit the description, right? Yeah. So, and like I said, he said, I live right there. I'll go get my, you know, my ID.
Right.
They wouldn't let him. Anyway, the whole thing. So the police chief said, what do you want me to do? I said, I want you to call him in here and I want you to apologize, you know, and, which he did. But, I don't think I understood the depth there. So anyway,
Yeah,
just,
no, I get it. And we always fit the description.
yeah.
You know, that's
Right.
we always do. And,
That's-
and so I get it. And I've had my run-ins. My first one was at 14. I'm only giving you one of several stories. That one was the most life-threatening for me. And that's not as bad as other people's stories and all that. I'm definitely not alone. It's commonplace. It's just that now America's really getting a chance to, you know, for us to all see it.
Right.
And
And I
so
think the thing is that I've known you for over 30 years.
right.
And hearing that story shocked. I mean, I know you. You are a gentle soul. You are such a love. I mean, you are kind and generous. And then to hear that someone treats you that way, just from my perspective, I was absolutely shocked that could happen to you.
Yeah, it can happen to anybody. I mean, let's just put, evil doesn't discriminate.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, it does what it does. And our job is to combat it. Like I said, this is a great start. Talking about it, having these kind of conversations. White people talking about it more. Examining yourself, because it's going to start as individuals to make these things. And it's not going to be right away. It's taken a long time to get here. It's going to take a long time to get out of it. You know, so you can't have expectations that we're going to sing Kumbaya and we are the world once this is over and everything's going to be fine. We've got a lot of work to do. A lot of work.
Right. So I'm going to show you something, because let's see if I can do this. I'm always okay. So someone, I don't know, have you seen this?
The pyramid of.
Oh, I have.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I see this. My friend, my white friend, I want to be very clear, shares this and says, wow, you know, this is interesting. And her eyes are, you know, like, so I'm reading it and I'm reading below the line where, you know, all the stuff at the top, white supremacy, you know, all this. Yeah, God, that is racist. Then I'm reading all the things below and I'm sitting there going, wow, really? Is that really something? So there's where I'm willing to take a look at me. If I'm questioning that stuff is there. First of all, I want to also go back to, I have my children question everything. Just because someone, who even made that? I don't even know.
Yeah.
So I don't even trust the person who made it, to be quite honest. So I have to read it and see, is this true for me?
Right.
And that's where I come like, wow, I don't know if I believe that, but why don't I believe that?
Right. Well,
that's because I was raised in this society and subconsciously this stuff is going on and I don't even know it.
Right.
Yeah, bingo.
Right. And you know, it's just so systematic. It's so systemic, I should say, is that, and that's why most people that don't deal with it don't understand why they, like, I would venture to say this. I don't want to say that I know what you guys are thinking or what white people are thinking, but I would have to believe that most white people know something's wrong. They just don't know what it is. They don't have a finger on it. They see these things happening. I mean, how many times can you watch somebody get their butt kicked on tape by a cop for it to not?
You know it's wrong. What do we do as individuals? What can I do?
This, starting with this. There's no one answer. I don't have all the answers. Trust me, if I did, it'd be gone. You know, by now. If Black people had all the answers, if we could do it ourselves, we would have done it by now. You know, we need to see each other, all of us be Americans in this struggle, and not just hold hands. I mean, like, you talk to each other, you talk to your friends, you talk to family, you be more active, and just like Black people have to be more active with their local jurisdiction and local elections, and you know, look at people's history, our public servants. Look at their history and see what they voted against or voted for, or you know, how many criminals or people they put in jail if they've got a record of falsely imprisoning people. Just the stuff like that. We just have to be more active. We have to take this by the reins, you know, more so. And again, there's not one way. It definitely isn't. It's just each person have a net consciousness.
Well, I think
to want to make a difference.
Right. And I think what happens is we're afraid to speak up. I mean, the way I met Lucille is through Twitter.
Right.
I mean, I am connected to amazing groups of people that talk about leadership and how to lead and how to create businesses that are thriving and have good culture. And it's all very positive discussions about, like, this is my opinion. Well, I don't agree with you. And here's why. But constructive criticism.
Right.
But I'm seeing more and more, since our president uses Twitter as his way of communicating, it's just so divisive and angry and polarizing. And so then I have this fear, like, I did not sleep last night. God, are we doing the right thing? I don't know. I'm just one person sitting in the suburbs of LA who just can't stay quiet any longer. Right. And what can I do? And so I'm listening.
Right.
This show isn't about, this is what to do. Hell no.
Absolutely.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, neither do I. And that's what I'm saying. I'm basically saying, to you, we need you. We need your help. This is an American problem. This is not a color thing.
I'm ready.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So that doesn't mean you come with a list of 20 things to do today to fight it. It just means be conscious and act on it. Go ahead.
No, I think that is happening.
Absolutely.
We are coming together as Americans. I don't know. That is the only way that's the only way. We are going to root this out because it is so systemic. What I do want to say, one thing, I have a good friend. I have a friend who is her husband's a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
So, she was saying, I'm terrified. On the other hand, I'm terrified and afraid for his safety and this and that. And I just want to say that, you know what I mean? I understand that. And I've known good cops. So not all cops.
I know good cops. I know good cops currently right now. Yeah.
Of course.
And we are seeing this. Thank God, we are seeing them kneel. Colin
Kaepernick.
Thank you.
Yes.
Really, when I think of all the fuss people made about him kneeling.
Right.
And people I knew.
Making a statement.
So now we have a picture of a different kind of kneeling, don't we?
Right.
So it makes kind of pales in comparison what Kaepernick was doing. Martin Luther King was one of the most peaceful protesters there were, and they killed him.
Right.
For saying exactly, Lucy, what you said.
Right. I think that's like my husband's fear. He knows, you know me, I can get passionate about something, man, I'm going to go fight for it.
Right.
And his fear is, you're going to go out there, do something to support this and make change, and something's going to happen to you. And quite frankly, I have to do something.
Yeah.
Well, I think another thing too is that I think where Black people are what we're going to have to do more of is take the lead, but also with some of these fights, but you all have to be willing, and I mean white people, to follow our lead. That's a different position that we're in, most of the time. And that doesn't mean do what I say or anything like, but just act. When you see something going on, get involved in some kind of way, in the way that you can. You don't have to be out there right on the front lines, but being involved again is having dialogue, just like we're doing right now. What you're doing right now, you're already doing the work by having me on there and wanting to do something,
right?
And not being in denial that it's actually happening. That's first. You have to acknowledge it and acknowledge us.
Right.
I told Lori the other day, I didn't share the story with her back when I knew her, because that's not how I didn't want that to seep into our friendship. I knew that she would not have an answer for me, and it would just make her feel bad. You know what I mean? So as a friend, I was trying to be a good friend by not sharing that story,
Hmm.
but not anymore. That's
Right.
the difference between
Right.
then and now, is that I'm not going to
Yeah.
stand for it. I'm done. We're done. We're done talking about it and not doing anything about it.
Well, you have kids that you have to worry about as well.
Yeah. I mean, and they're biracial, for lack of a better term. But if something goes down, they turn into Black women who are vulnerable.
Yeah. Right.
Period.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's how they look. You know what I mean? And that was.
Yeah. You can't help how you look.
Yeah.
That's just how you look, And so I mean, we're still overcoming. There's laws being put on the books in certain states for African Americans in the workplace to wear their hair the way it grows out of their head. Because if it's not straightened or in a way that's comfortable for the rest of the office, it's considered unprofessional.
Yeah,
That's real.
That's where I am in shock, because where I live, and that is not the way it is here.
Right.
And I would never put up with that, know. But you don't know what you don't know. Right.
Right. Well, and our only crime right now is not putting up with it anymore. That's where we get in trouble, is not putting up with it anymore. When I say, no, I have every right to live.
Right.
And then
challenging power.
Yeah, then I become public enemy number one. And now you have the license to do whatever you're going to do.
Well, then you need your village to come forward and say, oh, no.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, no. And that's where social media comes into play.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
in
go ahead.
In a positive way.
Yeah.
So my daughter went to the rally in Boston.
Right.
She said it was the most beautiful thing she had ever experienced. She said it was, there was like 20,000 people there.
Yeah.
And white and black and every other color you could ever imagine, And that's what we need to. That's what we need, and we've got to teach the children.
Right.
Also, that's where it starts. Teaching the children.
The children.
Yeah, and
well, it's a combination. It's teaching them, and this is a teaching moment for us. Our generation is the one that's given the young kids. They got it. If you look in the streets, it's kids of all races, and their energy's high. When I talk about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all those freedom fighters, they were young people when they started out. You know what I mean? They had that energy and that fire. And so that we need, in some ways, we can assist them, but we also need to get the hell out of their way and let them
absolutely.
do what they do. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I have great hope in this young generation. I have such great hope. And, anyway, but the people who are in power are entrenched.
Right.
And for the most part,
right,
they are white men.
Right.
My husband's a white man. I love him. But I'm just saying, for the most part, they are, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
And we have to recognize it and stop it. So one of the posts that I saw, and Lori saw this too, one of our friends, Christy Johnson, had shared a post from a good friend of hers, Vanessa Raja, and she listed a whole bunch of books that all white people need to read, or that would be helpful. And one of them is White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole host of others. So I got my hands on. I ordered it through Amazon because I need to understand. And the way I've been programmed by society. Mm-hmm. And so I started listening to it last night, and it's one way. It's a one way that white people can maybe get, as well as we got to talk. We can't be silent. We have to talk. We have to talk to our friends. We have to talk to our Black friends, our Black colleagues, our white friends, our white colleagues, our children, and make a fuss that just can't be stopped.
Yeah. No, it's like it's all the above. There's no one way. Just I want to just clarify too. When I say I'm done talking, I don't mean I'm done talking about it. I mean I'm willing. It's to the point now for Black people. Just to be honest with you, we're willing to die for this.
Yeah.
We always have been, but now our lives are on the line. Like it's real. Like I'm going to live on my feet, not on my knees. It's just that simple.
Right.
So I don't want that. I'm not looking. I'm hoping it doesn't go there. Nobody wants that.
Right.
But you can't keep kicking people in the butt and expect them not to turn around. You can't back people in the corner and be surprised when they come out swinging. It's just at some point my fear is retaliation on this.
Yeah.
And that's not a place we want to be.
Right.
And if you're inconvenienced now as a white person, try martial law.
Yeah. And that's a pretty scary.
Yeah. I mean, you think you couldn't go bowling during the pandemic or go to your favorite bar? Well, now our America is never the same. That's why it's bigger than just stop killing Black people.
And I like to think, Allan, that would not be possible.
Yeah. Well,
but I know better.
We have a president who's threatening that now. So it's possible.
He is.
It's possible.
Yes, he is.
Very possible.
But I can't believe we're at that point either.
Yeah. I mean, there were military police driving by the last few days by where I live in Atlanta. They're here.
Saw your video.
Really?
Yeah.
And Hummers.
Yes.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, it's happening.
They're here too, Lucille. They're here in LA.
They're already positioning themselves for if it has to happen. That's real.
Who is the governor? We have a very radical. Not a radical. He's a Republican.
He's a Republican.
I don't think he stands for it.
Yeah, he beat Stacey Abrams.
Lost to him, right?
I'm sorry.
Huh?
Stacey Abrams lost to him, right?
Lost him, yeah. So
I wanted her to win.
And we're one of the first states to open up for business after about like 3 or 4 weeks, and we're feeling the effects of that now too. Oh yeah, that's right. There's COVID-19 out there.
Oh God, there's a lot.
It's just crazy right now. It really is. But this is a national emergency. No, probably more so. I would say definitely. This is
us.
Us.
This is us.
This is us. This is us.
This is the United States of America, where anybody was welcome to come. And here we are. We need to band together, speak up, and
I don't know. I was going to tell another story.
Of course.
So having a conversation. When I was in college in Boston, it was I was at the cafeteria, and it was I think I was in a study group, and me and this African American woman got into a discussion about discrimination. And I said, my grandparents were discriminated against. I'm Italian, all 100% Italian, Italian American. But my grandparents came from Italy, and I said, my uncles. I was 20. I was 20 years old when this discussion went on. My uncles, that they were called wops and guineas, and spit on, and they could only live in a certain area, and
Right.
But what she said to me, and it's stuck with me all these years, she said, yes, but you can assimilate.
Wow, right.
Because of the color of your skin. At that point, I didn't understand it.
Right.
I was like, oh no.
That's true. That's true.
We discriminate against.
Right.
But I get it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's another great point is the history of this. I told Lori yesterday too. I said, this is the best. This is a sad commentary, but this is the best it's ever been for African Americans in the United States in 400 years. Just marinating that. It started off the way it started off. And so it's never been, this country has never originally been designed for us to all be equal participants. So we're fighting an uphill battle for 400 years. I mean, that's why it's so difficult to wrap your arms around, because it's so ingrained, it's so part of the American flag. You know, so that's why I say it's a consciousness that we all have to be at, come to and do whatever we can as individuals collectively. That's huge. You know, I'm not saying anything new. I'm not,
Right.
trust me, I'm only regurgitating what I've been taught. And,
Right.
But I do know that forums like this, me having a chance to tell my story with you all, is a great start.
Yeah.
And you guys receiving it, and you sharing your experiences. You know, all of us talking as human beings. That's where it starts, and and holding people accountable who see otherwise.
Right. Christy popped in and says, you know, that is indeed a sad commentary. It's actually horrifying.
Yeah.
And it is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, my parents and their parents, after slavery, there was Jim Crow, no protection under the law. People were being hanged in the streets, and nothing. I mean, that's what you saw was, a modern day lynching, really. People were speaking about 10 days ago. And that's why everybody's so horrified and so shaken. But it was the way it was commonplace. But, 50, 60, 80 years ago. You know, soldiers.
It's hard for me to believe that my ancestors, like my father or my grandfather or grandmother, would tolerate that. It's, I can't have those conversations. They're not alive anymore.
Well, yeah.
To think that they're like me, my age, and they're seeing this happen, and they're not outraged and doing anything. I mean, what?
Well, I'll give you one that we're all guilty of right now. Simultaneously with all of this that's going on, for over 2 years, there are children in cages on our border. So our grandkids are going to be going, what were y'all doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that because it's easy to get caught up in what you know and what your comfort. We are creatures of habit, and we love our comfort.
Right. And problem is that one thing after another comes up. I mean, God, we are only 5 months into this year. It's crazy what has happened in 5 months.
And it's clearly needed.
And you know what
Go ahead.
This is ugly. What I'm going to say is not pretty, but it's like a great big wound.
No, I know.
And in order to heal the wound, the pus rises to the surface, and we are seeing the pus.
That's a great analogy. Exactly.
It is ugly. It is ugly. I mean, the children are, like you said, children are being. I have a 2-year-old grandson. To think of him, or at this point, him being ripped away from my son and daughter-in-law, or me, or whatever, just, or that my son keeps saying, hey, for the color of my skin.
Right.
And there are other mothers who don't have the luxury I have, that my son is white. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's
overwhelming. It really is. I mean, and my only, the only, for lack of a better term, advantage that I have versus the two of you is it's my life.
Yeah.
I've lived it, and I know and I have the stories handed down to me. African Americans have fought in every war that has had, only to come home in World War II, to catch more hell and be unrecognized as soldiers for America when you come home.
Yeah.
I mean, not be a part of the whole GI Bill thing and on the same levels and finding work, all of that stuff. I mean, risking their lives, losing limbs, all the same as their white brothers. And yet when you get back here, just remember your place. Remember you are not equal, and never will be. So we're still, all of that is, I say all that to say that it's the same battle. We've gotten better, but we got a lot more to do.
So that's
a lot of work.
I have a 16-year-old who says, okay, everybody's protesting and I get that, but she asked me directly, how does protesting create the change that we need? And I'm like, well, it brings, I start going to feel, it brings awareness, then you have to, you got to vote, and you got to vote at that, all the way down to the local level.
Right. Well, and it puts pressure. It more than anything, and it's a peaceful way.
Is that enough? She's like, is that enough?
No, it's not. Not at this point. And that's why you're seeing targets and auto zones and different places like that. Some of it's being incited by other forces than peaceful protesters. But the point is that it took that for me to be right here, right now, talking. Unfortunately, it takes, sometimes you got to bring fire with fire. It's a sad, we try our best not to do it, but how many times are you going to just let somebody slap you in the face before you slap them back?
Right.
So, and if you where they made their first mistake was thinking that they was setting these cops up to get off. That's why they didn't arrest them right away. And when they arrested the first officer, they did third-degree murder. They were trying to set the scenario for them to.
We were smarter.
Yeah, but when people start tearing up, and the whole world's on fire, and there's protests and rioting in every state, then you have people's attention, because at the end of the day, these civil servants, they just want to be reelected. They just want to keep their power, but now they're realizing they're in danger of losing everything.
Right.
So that's what protest does. Protesting is not supposed to be comfortable. That's what a protest is. It's supposed to bring discomfort to the way things are, so that you can make the change.
And it's worked, right? I read that there's a higher charge now against him, and that they arrested the 3 other men.
Yeah, and another thing I'm going to speak on real quick too is the tactics of the police. I don't know if you've noticed this, but every time something like this happens, 2 or 3 days later, there's as D.L. Hughley is a comedian, he would say this all the time. They kill the victim twice. They kill him the first time, and then they assassinate their character.
Yes.
Because now that person's gone, so you can say whatever. You can dig up some dirt and make them look like, well, there it is. See, he was a horrible person anyway. So
he deserved it.
To justify the killing. I mean, so they try that with this guy.
Right.
I'm a very spiritual person. I don't go to church. Mm-hmm. My church is my garden. But thou shalt not kill.
Hello.
Period.
Hello. And who are you to decide who's supposed to be on earth and who isn't? That's my thing, And a shout out to the hero of this latest killing of George Floyd, the true hero. Her name is Darnella Frazier. She's the 17-year-old girl that had the bravery to film that thing for 10 minutes uninterrupted. That's why we're here. Had that not happened, he'd be on the streets violating other people's rights.
Right.
She is the true hero in this.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
Thanks to her. I just want to say that.
I agree. Mm-hmm. Christy wrote something else. Let's see. And we can feel, quote, "This is too big. What difference could I possibly make?" End quote. Forgetting that each one of us can do something, and not do anything isn't okay anymore.
Right. It's not. Go ahead.
This is enough for right now. I think we just let ourselves off the hook. This is enough for right now, and maybe tomorrow it's going to be bigger. Maybe it'll be smaller. But it's forward movement.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're all just human beings. We only can do so much, but collectively, it's more, way more than it has been, and that's been the problem. This is just exposing the disconnect of all Americans. We're out there trying to provide and do better for ourselves, and we get caught up in everything, and we forget, especially with the way phones are and social media and everything, we forget to really connect. So again, there's a silver lining. It's just we got to get back to basics. I think as people,
Right.
as people, you know. Again, this is not. I'm not saying it from a rosy place. We're in a terrible place right now.
Right.
We are.
This is the most somber I have ever seen you.
Yeah. I mean, my heart hurts.
Yeah.
Last week I was no good. All last week, I was just. I'm hurt. I'm exhausted.
Right, and I think it comes in waves. It's like, well, okay, you know, we're talking and this feels good, but as soon as we get off of this and we see something else that's happening, it doesn't. You know, like you said, we've got to get uncomfortable to make the change.
Absolutely, because when we get off this, I'm still going to have the same target on me.
Yeah, right. So we have to really, really, really sit with our uncomfortableness.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's the only way.
As white people.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm, like I said, I got, you know, what can I do? You know, so I'm reading the book, and it's all about the, you know, white fragility. It's all about the systemic racism and how we don't know.
Right.
We don't know that it invades our life.
Yeah. Well, and I would say too, I understand your fear or white people's fear of wanting to be involved because you're afraid of being ridiculed and ostracized.
I'm going to get over that.
Yeah, but I understand it is what I'm saying. You know, I want you to know that I understand that fear, but that's the very thing you need to be fighting over. You know, getting over, because you will run into that. You will run into people who are like, "How the hell could you not see this?" And blah blah, you know, blah 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 blah, and it's going to happen on some level if you're doing the work. But that's what it takes. Right. It's going to take that.
And I think I like to think Lori is such a compassionate, loving person.
Yes, she is.
She is such a compassionate, loving person, and I like to think that, you know, I try to live my life in the same way, you know, with loving kindness and
you do. I mean, here you are sandwiched.
Yeah, but you know what? I am just seeing what I've missed.
Thank you.
I'm just seeing what I've missed, and we're all gonna sit. Sit
we're all
in the shit for a while.
Yeah, pretty much, and because we're all three of us, this is happening because we have three good-hearted souls trying to come up with answers, and not the answer, but answers, and that's collective. That's going to take everybody. It's going to take a while. Not everybody feels this way,
right?
Or we wouldn't be here,
right?
President Trump won in the election. That's 50% of the voting public. That's real.
Unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable to me. And people need to vote. And like you said, we need to vote from the local all the way up.
All the way up. We
need the voices.
Yeah.
The reason they got people out.
Yeah.
I mean, to think that this guy had peaceful protesters. That's our rights.
Right.
As citizens.
Yeah.
Tear gassed.
Yeah.
Tear gas. That happened. I mean, a man was murdered.
Yeah.
And many others.
And 3 weeks before that, guys busted into a government building, guns, with AR-15s screaming in the faces of police officers, so they could go bowling and swimming and travel and do all these things they hadn't done for 4 weeks.
What the heck?
I guess was it 2017? 1,000 white men with tiki charges in Charlottesville. Fire. Try to close your eyes and imagine 1,000 black men walking down the street holding fire. You can't.
No.
They killed every last one of us.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, so that's what I'm saying. See. So
AJ asked the question. I think that it's important because, like you said, I mean, so so little has happened over the years. And she makes the point that as all of this is really awful and heart-wrenching, do any of us here talking notice a difference between these riots and the riots of Rodney King? And I know you were here in LA when that happened.
I definitely do. I do. That's why I'm more hopeful this time around, because I see that everybody is getting it now.
Yeah.
You know, and the Rodney King thing was still remote. I mean, as horrific as it was, they had a year to figure out a way to get the cops off and demonize Rodney King. So a lot of people, I don't know, I think a year of it just made people were worn out from it and stopped.
We're not having any of that now. It's like they're trying to say, oh, well, he had a heart condition.
Yeah.
Then they're saying he had COVID, and everybody's like, none of that matters.
No.
I mean, I haven't seen one single person going,
Yeah.
Everybody's like, you murdered this man.
Yeah,
Period.
I mean,
The story, stop talking, right?
Yeah, even if he had just got through robbing that store, that's nothing to die over.
No.
At the hands of policemen, handcuffed on your stomach.
Yeah.
4 police officers. If we've got 4 trained police officers who can't subdue one man and put him in the back of the car, we got a bigger problem than we think.
Yeah.
I agree with AJ. I agree with you. I think this does feel different. I have a ton more hope. I have a child who's going to come. I have 2 children actually, but I have one very outspoken. And she's like, I think that the policing system, you know, as we all know, because I think we've all been working, and that it was all set up to protect white people. And she's like, so how we can't her idea is like, we can't reform that.
You can't
reform something that's so. Start something new, you know, I mean, another name. I mean, let's start fresh with where we are now. I mean, and I'm like, you have got to keep moving forward like this. This gives me hope.
What you just said. I mean, we have to, there's another guy who spoke here a few days ago trying to stop the rioting. And he said, we have to burn the system of racism down to the ground.
I think we're doing it.
No ifs, ands, or buts, and start over.
Yeah.
And I think that this year is exposing all sorts of systems that need to be burnt to the ground, including our healthcare system, you know, and anyway.
Yeah.
There is a hashtag on Instagram right now, maybe on Twitter as well. It's called 8 Can't Wait. So it's 8 policies to decrease police violence that they're saying, you know, will help us decrease it by 70%.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just.
Oh, I'll look that up.
Yeah, I'm just.
I'll look at it.
That.
Well, I'll tell you the first one for me. Hold them accountable for their crimes.
Yeah.
Arrest them and put them in jail.
Yeah.
And charge
that's a hell of a deterrent.
Appropriately. Charge them appropriately, though, where they can't pull their way out of it.
Yeah. What else?
Appalling to me.
That was 10 minutes of video last week. What else do you need to see?
Right.
I mean, what were you waiting for?
Right.
That thing. But you have to value everybody's lives. That Black Lives Matter. You know, people get sick of hearing that Black Lives Matter, but don't matter obviously more than anybody else's lives. But nobody else. This is not happening to anyone else.
Correct. I mean, not that I should say correct. I listened to, you know, who am I to say that? But I listened to actually, it was Ashton Kushner, who put a post up this morning that said, you know, all his friends are like, oh, all lives matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but all lives haven't been threatened.
Yeah. Exactly. And for my all lives matter people, if all lives matter, then get your all lives matter ass out there and help Black people.
Yeah.
That's right.
There you go. Yep.
That's exactly right.
So, and Christy also adds that about, you know, them getting arrested. All of the officers are now in jail, I believe. And she, you know, don't acquit them. I mean, I don't think there's no way. I'm staying on top of this. I made calls to Minnesota. I made calls to office after office saying those 3 other officers must be thrown in jail and charged with accessory to that murder.
Well,
they are. They have been charged.
But it took How many weeks?
I know.
She's like, no, it took for the country to be set on fire.
Right.
We can't really sweep that. I mean, it happened because of such an uprising. It was becoming complete chaos in this country, and it sadly took that for an open and shut case to be taken that seriously.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Is that
we needed an open and shut case, or this would be so, they could make it so.
had that young lady pause the tape for 5 seconds.
Right.
Now there's discrepancy on the tape.
Yeah.
And she was threatened by the cop that murdered George, saying that he was going to taser or use something, or maybe mace them or something for her to stand back, and she stood her ground and kept filming. Thank God.
Thank God. Yeah.
Ellen, what was her name again?
Darnella Frazier. She's 17. And pray for her too, because I've seen a video of her after the fact, and she's extremely traumatized. I mean, she watched a man die.
I saw that the next day. She was
Murdered.
She'll never get over that.
Because okay, everybody is praising her for doing that, but she's sitting there. I mean, okay, that is me. I am sitting there filming. Why didn't I jump on? Why didn't I do something to actually stop it? You go through that, second guessing what you could have done.
Right.
And that is just God.
Having to deliver that, but she did the exact right thing to do, because there were 4. Who's going to jump on 4 policemen? Who's that crazy?
And people were begging them.
Yeah.
And we only know that because of her videotaping.
They were begging him, and George was begging them.
And George was begging them.
He called out for his mother. When a man calls for his mom, I mean, I can leave it there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, to get back, just getting back to what this is all about, all this is very uncomfortable to talk about. It's horrible, but this is where we are. And it's going to take more than just, I love yous to get past this.
Right.
All right. So we're going to keep talking. You're going to communicate to me, Allan, if there's anything you share. I am open to your suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. No. And I just thank you both, really. Like, this is so, so important. And Lori, I love you very much. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for you. I'm so glad to meet you, Lucille. And
she's nicer than me. She's kinder and
huh? What's that?
She's nicer and kinder.
She's nicer and kinder.
Oh, God.
It's true.
We're all wonderful. And I'm glad to meet you too, Allan, and love to keep in touch. And
absolutely. And if you ever want to do this again, I'm wide open. So
right on. I shared your song on Instagram, a clip that I listened to this morning. I shared it. So I tagged you, Allan, because I know you don't go to Instagram much.
Right.
But the words of your song.
They're beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
One at a time.
Yes, yes. Yes, look for the video soon. We're currently working on a video. It'll be something simple. But between coronavirus and these latest events, there's plenty of.
So, Allan, take just a minute before we go off and tell us about your work.
Yes.
Yes. So, Undeniable Productions is a company that a friend of mine that I knew back in LA. We were actually a group in a singing group called The Crew. We went our separate ways, had kids, got married, all that stuff. Found him about 5 years ago on Facebook, and I started playing some of our old stuff. Well, long story short, we ended up deciding that we come back into the business as producers and help younger talent, and use our experience and our wisdom and still let them do their thing and let them not get in the way of their creativity, but give them just a little bit more from what we grew up on, the music that influenced us and all that. So anyway, going well. 3 years in, releasing music. Keep us in your prayers. I'm just trying to, it's a tough biz, but I'm doing what I was born to do. I can say that.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll follow you everywhere that you are. Are you on Instagram yet? I mean,
Yes. Undeniable.
I was
Share it
looking.
with you, Lucille. Actually, check Instagram. I've already tagged you in.
Okay.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, my stage name is Al the Crew, because that's the name of our group. So when you see music, when you see that, that's what it is. It's just homage to how we started out.
Perfect.
But
Very good.
yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank
Some
you.
of the words, it's waking up hurt inside. I mean, it brings me tears. That's how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, it speaks. Yeah, something's got me real confused, beat up, beat down, and abused. Wake up feeling hurt inside. Still thank God that I'm alive.
Thank God. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can put the link to the song in here so people can listen.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you. And again, give it about a week or so. We should have our video ready, and I'll send it.
Very
to you.
good.
Right.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yes.
And just keep your head up. I'm gonna do the same thing, and do whatever you got to do. Cry sometimes. Be frustrated, but stay hopeful. That's probably
Yes.
how end it.
We're going to do this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's already happening right this minute.
We just
Right.
have to keep the momentum.
Yes.
And we're part of the momentum.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we've got something motivating us, and that's lack of leadership in this country right now. We have to do it. We can't. There's nobody to look to. So that's been taken away from us. So in a way, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's up to us.
Always
It's
have.
up to us.
Always have.
Grassroots.
Oh, here's what AJ says. One more thing. Violent protests are necessary when peaceful protests don't work, because I seem to remember someone kneeling peacefully, but that didn't work.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really, do we have to see cops kneeling to oh, okay, we get it now. White cops kneeling. No, we get it now. But wait a minute. I remember the whole football thing. I remember that happening.
Right. And cops, back to the good cop thing real quick. There are great cops, but it's up to them. I need you to be the good cop in a bad situation.
Right. Well,
That's
okay.
right.
I'm sorry. I know.
We have to convince each other.
I brought up with my son. I said, this is where I have the problem. I told him. He goes, what are you doing? You need to help me with my homework. And I said, I'm making calls to Minnesota. And so I explained to him what I was doing. I said, here's my problem, is there were 4 cops involved. 1 cop did it. There were 3 cops there. This is like all your buddies. You get in a fight. One guy goes out. He's fighting. And the buddies pull the one guy who's fighting off and saying, no, you don't want to do this. They didn't pull him off. I said, to me, that is when a pitcher hits a batter and the batter goes running for the pitcher, and everybody pulls him off. No, you don't want to do that. No one pulled him off. They have to be held accountable for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is all great. It's all great. Again, I don't feel like we've solved anything in the big picture, but I do feel like we've started. And that's better than we were yesterday. We're already better than we were yesterday.
Keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
With love and compassion and action. All right. Thank you, Allan.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
All right, thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.